The National Bureau of Statistics on Wednesday released fresh data about the Nigerian economy. According to the agency, the inflation rate in Nigeria has dropped further to 15.40% in November from 15.99% recorded in October. Well, the Bureau said the drop indicates the 7th consecutive month that the inflation rate in the country would fall, adding that the new data represents a 2.77 percentage point decline since March, when the inflation rate peaked at 18.17%. Well, Dr. Boniface Chizea is a top-notch economic and business development consultant. He has contributed significantly to the development of several organizations in public and private sectors: Central Bank of Nigeria's Quality Assurance 2020 project, Federal Ministry of Finance, Niger Delta Development Commission, United Nations Development Program, Rivers and Bayelsa states, where he participated actively in the preparation and development of the State Economic Empowerment Development Strategies documents. He led the team of consultants that prepared seeds for Bayelsa. Well, good morning, Dr. Boniface, and thank you for joining us on the morning show.
Thank you, my sister. I'm from my neck of the woods. I'm from Asaba. So,
oh, fantastic. Fantastic. I am from Delta
Steve, how are you doing?
I'm Ukwani.
I know. Ukwani. Yes. I'm from my neck of the woods.
Very nice.
Steve, how are you? Long time.
Very well, Dr. Chizea. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, according to NBS, there's been a consistent decrease in inflation rate in the last, you'd say, 7 to 8 months. If you were to analyze Nigeria's current economic landscape, would you agree that the decrease portends a positive signal?
Well, I think that still we need to explain. I mean, we operate out there and we listen to the comments of people, and those comments are actually expected. I mean, if you look at price increases in this country today, they've not been like that for a very long time. I mean, you take the classic case, which is cooking gas. And now gas that was sold for about 3,000 is now being sold at over 9,000 naira. So it's the cost of living is across board, it's elevated. And so when people listen and hear, that rate of inflation is coming down and so on and so forth, there's an alarm. People just feel that we can't understand this. Where is this happening? We can't feel it. But the misconception is that what they are saying is that the rate of increase is reducing. So if, for instance, last year it increased by 6%, then next quarter is now increasing by 4%. So that's a reduction. That doesn't mean that inflation has disappeared. Now, if you take the data as released, if comparatively between last month and this month, the rate of inflation has increased by a nominal rate of 1.08%. So that's a basic misconception. So inflation in this country is very high. Even at 15.45% that has been it's just been announced, inflation is still high. The target of inflation in this country, which the central bank tried to adopt, is between 6 and 9%. So inflation at this rate is destabilizing. It affects most people, affects the poor. It affects your savings. It affects your purchasing power. It undermines, productivity in the economy. It affects employment. It's a very negative factor in the economy.
You're very correct, Dr. Chizea, because I was worried when it looked to me like what the government expected us to do with that information was to celebrate or to be at least reassured that things are getting better, which is not necessarily right. At 15% inflation, as you rightly pointed out, we're still one of the highest, if not the highest, in the sub-region. In Ghana, it is 11%. In South Africa, it is just 5.5% inflation, and that's the highest in 4 years in South Africa. So we're not at 15%. There's really nothing to celebrate. Cost of living is still very high. And I think that there are other areas that the government should address, because there must be consistent factors that they will need to tackle, which are the things that will reassure the people, and not just saying that it has come down from 18 in March to 15. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but Steve, what we should celebrate is the fact that we would seem to be in the right direction. So if the rate of increase is reducing,
all right,
that means we are doing the right thing. And that's all. So there's something to celebrate. So it's not increasing. So it's reducing, and it's been so consistently for over 8 months. So that to some extent, yes, okay. I mean, cold comfort, if you wish. But you are right in saying that.
Are you able to pinpoint, Dr. Chizea, are you able to pinpoint what things we might be doing right so that we can possibly concentrate on that, and then the public can also look forward to that sort of doing the right thing in the hope that at least we will come further down?
Well, it's very difficult because Nigeria is a very vast territory. If you take even the inflation rate we're talking about, it varies from state to state. Even the data that was reduced, in Nasarawa State, in Jigawa State, and I think also in three of the states, the inflation rate is high, and then you go to some states, you take Para, you take Rivers, and you take Edo. It's low, so it comes across. It's between rural and urban area, and so on and so forth. There are different rates. So what to say is that what are we doing, or what we need to do, is to increase productivity in the economy. And so I think we are struggling. We are trying to do that, but we have some challenges in the sense that I think that the money we are injecting into the system is a bit too much. That's one. And then secondly, the rate of exchange is a major cause of inflation in this environment. Now, what worsens the rate of exchange situation is the fact that people, the operators, most operators in this economy are dependent on the external sector. They have to go to the external sector, to source, what one thing or the other which they need, in their business. And they are not sure what the rate is going to be. They cannot get it from the investors' exporters window, where it is fairly stable. And so at the unofficial market, the other market, now the rate is unstable. So they tend to overcompensate for that uncertainty. And so if I go to the parallel market today and I have the rate at 570 or whatever it is, by the time I sell my product and I come back, the rates might be different. And I'm in this business, I want to sustain the business. I want to make some profit. And so that imposes some challenge. So if we can stabilize the rate of exchange, I think it's taking some time. If we can stabilize it, that will be a major factor. But from the question, what you asked me, is difficult for me from here to say, this is exactly what we are doing that is right. But I think that we are doing so many things. We need to, for instance, be at the physical space. We need to make sure that we rebalance it. So we are trying to make sure that many more people are brought into the tax net. That's a movement in that direction. We need to optimize technology, for most of these things. And so by the time we start doing this, if you can address even the subsidy issue, if you can address it, move the economy in the right direction. What you need to do is to get the economy moving in the right direction. And once you begin to do that, you find that the rate of exchange would perforce begin to, the rate of inflation perforce begin to drop.
Yes, stabilizing the exchange rate. Now, NBS says that there will be a rebasing of the nation's economy in 2022 after completing the National Agricultural Sample Census. Now, given the rise in food index, what would be your projection?
Well, to rebase the economy, we did it, and we did it under the tenure of Dr. Yemi Yankale, and they did it, and they received accolades, because before they did that, we've not rebased the economy for a very long time. So what you do is essentially that you have a base, from which you relate what's happening to the economy. And so you rebase it, you bring it closer, and you bring it closer to reality. Now, if you just take what happened to GDP, the second quarter GDP which we produced, there was so much outcry because suddenly we went from first quarter it was 0.51. The second quarter we went to 5 point something, and then people said, "Where is this coming from?" But what affected that rate was the fact that the base rate at the second quarter 2020 was non-existent, and so by the time you compare that, you got that increase. And so if you rebase, what it does, I don't know what point they're going to take it from. Are they going to take it from? Because you need to. There should be. I think there's some technicalities about this thing. They have to take it from a certain point from where you did it before. And so When you take that, you debase it. That means you now readjust and then correct for certain things, correct for inflation, and then you now have another base. So that you don't have that sort of reaction we got when we try to look at the GDP and the second quarter of 2021 vis-a-vis the GDP in 2020. That the economy there was lockdown, there was no production. So that adjustment should be done. They have an experience in the sense that they did it before, and they were commended. So they received accolades. So I would expect that based on that experience, we look forward to. It's going to be exciting to see what they're going to come up with.
All right, Doctor, you mentioned the what I'll call the indiscriminate injection of funds into the economy as part of the reasons why inflation is spiking, which is interesting, given what is also happening in the United States, where, as you know, the inflation rate is at the highest at 6.8% today. It's at the highest since 1982 when Ronald Reagan was the president. And of course, it is COVID-19 and the injection of funds there too. Almost $4 trillion injected in terms of palliatives, and trying to sustain the economy here and there. But of course, the downsides of it is that inflation will spike. What can the government do? Because at a time that people are struggling, COVID-19 pandemic is there, the economy is bad. What people expect is that government will pump more money. We have had some politicians who will say, print more money. But of course, we know what will happen. It is inflation. How do you think America is dealing with its own? Maybe there's a way that we can learn from America's highest inflation rate in years and what we are also dealing with at this moment.
Well, see, the point is that it's a difficult choice in the sense that if you don't have productivity within the economy, then the whole thing can stay halt. And so it is a choice between having people, activities going on and so on and so forth, and then having inflation. It's a choice between people having some money in their pockets. Vis-a-vis what we're now is an outcry to say prices are going through the roof. So it's a choice you have to make. And I think that is a better choice to say you have inflation. And that's, the hope is that the shutdown, you don't have employment, people are not going to work and so on. And then we have crisis on your hands. If you take the COVID lockdown and so on, we had protests. By the time you had lockdown for about 2 weeks, we are rioting. People just say, look, we would rather go out and be infected. We would rather go out and be infected, than stay in our house and die of certain hunger. So that sort of thing. So is it for us? I think it's a clear choice. It's something that is inevitable for now. And that's what Nigerians will have to accept. It's inevitable in the sense that if we don't pump in this money, you don't have, the central bank putting money in places and getting things done and so on and so forth. If you're not doing that, there will be no activity in the economy. And so every place begins to halt. And we don't want that. We cannot even sustain that. And so it's a choice. What we expect going forward is that the authorities would have clear eye to ensure that they monitor what is going on and be able to take decisions at the appropriate time. And also to ensure that the monies we are putting in there, to a large extent, that we will get value for our money. One of the major problems we have in the economy is the fact that the values we bring to the table is not something to write home about. And so we need to make sure that even once we're putting in this money, we're doing so many things, we're giving money to the various sectors of the economy, the pharmaceuticals and so on, the SMEs, and so many funds are being earmarked. And once we're doing this, there's some discipline, to make sure that this money, it should have effectively. And of course, the issue of people paying back is another matter altogether. I mean, if you take this Agras Central Bank, project, most people gather money. We're not sure they're going to pay back. And so those are challenges. But then you expect that as you go through the hoop of what's happening now in the economy, I think we're doing quite well. If you look at what time it took us, to get out of the recession and so on. If you look at all that, we're doing quite well. And so you expect that by the time we begin to see that, put that behind us, we now begin to address certain nagging issues now, like so inflation. So what then do you have achieved, and so on and so forth. But we're doing so many things, and I think that if we stay the course, like I said, FIRS is trying to now go digital and trying to collect taxes. Because one of the major challenges we have, is that our revenue to GDP is about the lowest. So there's so many things that are strong with us in this environment, in this economy. And so if we can learn from this, and then let's say Sweden uses of adversity. This is the period of adversity for Nigeria. What we must do is not to waste this period. So if we don't waste it and we learn certain things and we put certain things in place so that as we now gradually begin to get out of this situation, and of course we have to pray that this virus, so today is Omicron
variant.
So Omicron, so on. And that's the spanner in the works for us. So we need to. I don't know how we're going to do it because why that is happening. It's doing different challenges on the ones we are used to, and so on and so forth. Omicron almost Nigeria got on the red list of countries. Canada put us on the red list. Britain put us. Even I think Hong Kong also did. So I think that we will pray. That's when this happening. But what we must do is to make sure that we optimize this opportunity. Certain things we will look forward to in the future and say, these are things we've been able to do. And I can see many. I mean, the Central Bank is trying to develop the National Theatre in Lagos. That's a wonderful development. If they do it and we have state-of-the-art National Theatre, that is during the pandemic. And so we want to see things, legacy things that would happen so that we'll say, look, this happened during the pandemic. And so that's really should be.
You think that's a brilliant idea, Doctor? The intervention in the National Theatre at a time like this from the Bankers Committee.
No, let me tell you. I think that everybody has done wonderfully well. You must put that on record.
Okay.
We've been here for a long time, and you have central bank governors and so on. They've come and they've started their time. Not most of them. This is why people are talking about central bank today, and they're saying that they're not keeping to their core mandate. But part of the mandate of central bank is to develop a Nigerian economy. It has developmental responsibility attached to its mandate. And so now, what Mbele has done is Mbele has risen to the occasion. He looked at the economy and said to himself, hey, wait a minute, let's inject money and do these things, and then get the economy ticking, get us going, and then let us eventually talk about inflation. And that's exactly. So I think that we give them kudos. So if you can get this national sector state of the art and we can maintain it, I understand we're going to bring in private sector management and so on. Those are the things we want to see. We should learn from our past failures and what cost them, and the fact that we need to begin to remove things from the hands of the public sector. This is imperative. And so if you're going to put us theater, right, you make sure that's who is going to run it after. That's going to be, a professional management. That will take it up and there'll be contractual agreement as to what returns they'll be making and so on and so forth. Otherwise, again, a few years down the line, it's going to be run down. And all that expenditure will be gone with the winds.
Right. All right. Well, the World Bank last week announced an approval of $700 million from its International Development Association for Agroclimate Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscapes project. Now, what would you like to see in terms of implementation for these funds? And how would this boost Nigeria's economy? And do you think we'll be able to pay back?
The issue of paying back, well, we postponed that. That's why that is a wonderful thing to happen. If you don't have a sense of responsibility, President Buhari can just secure the debts he wants to incur. They use for the person that is coming in 2023. And the person that's coming in 2023 will inherit the headache. And I mean, also try as much as possible to leave for the person that's going to come after him. So I think that's the issue of debt. So you need to be a statesman, for you to be able to manage the debt situation. But I think that today, whatever policies are coming up with, the West, they are focused on climate change. And they are doing everything that will address climate change. Of course, expectedly, that's the case. But for us here, we have fuel, we have gas, and we have coal, and so on, and we're trying to delay the process. So it's our best interest. So there has to be a balancing act, whereby, climate change is devastating. So you find that even the weather patterns today are not predictable. You don't know when it's rainy season and so on, and that's a small play. If you live in an area that is flood prone, sections of the world are flood prone, you find that floods are taking over the place, and you find devastations everywhere. So that's the challenge. So whatever the World Bank, whatever they're doing, they want to give us some funding and so on. We'd expect them to, as much as possible, not to give us budget support monies. We don't want money that will just go into the system. They don't give us monies like we did say. These are attached to specific projects. So if it's agriculture as a project, and we can see it, we can earmark it, we can point out and say, this is what we want to do with this money. And so if this money, once we did that, then the temptation to misappropriate, to misapply would be reduced. So I think that's what we need to do. But in Nigeria, the challenge we have is that we don't have too many statesmen. We don't have many people who are thinking ahead and thinking about Nigeria. Thinking of, let's make this place a better place. And for not just for ourselves, but for Nigerians that are coming behind us. This is very important. Very important. And I think that I pray that election 2023 will throw up somebody who knows something about the economy. Will throw up somebody who will go out there and be able to represent. Will throw up somebody that will be able to do things the way they should do it. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I think that process 2023 is important. And we need to make sure that the person that succeeds Buhari is somebody that really would give us some hope that the future is not as bleak as it looks now. Because ask me, the future is bleak. It's bleak in this country.
Indeed, Dr. Chizea, it looks quite bleak. But you mentioned the point about stability of the exchange rate, and I thought I should quickly go back there, wondering if in any way the huge remittances from Nigerians and Africans in the diaspora, if they play any role at all, the injection of funds, from overseas. I mean, isn't there a way that can be, amount to cushioning the effects of the struggle that the Naira is going through, given, the rate of inflation that we're dealing with at the moment?
Well, Steve, the thing is that if that does not happen, you see, what's the economy is that there are so many sources that it's not as sustainable. You just clearly pointed one. Diaspora remittances is massive. We're talking about over $20 billion in a year.
Yes.
Yeah, but the challenge is that we are not going to be able to get this money in one place. We will not do that. So this money comes and it goes into the economy. And that's why things have not gotten out. I've not been as bad as they could be. So there are so many things impacting. Yeah, some of them we cannot see. And so this money comes. The guy that has dollars in America and wants to send dollars to Nigeria, he identifies somebody that's going to give him extra Naira. And then the person pays Naira into his account and he pays dollar to the person's account in overseas. Now, at the end of the day, the person that's getting the dollar overseas is going to bring back his business and services to the Nigerian economy. And to the extent that he does that, that would impact on our GDP. And but if we are waiting to make sure that we try and get, do 1 Naira for whatever incentive that Central Bank try to do, get them all to bring it through the official channel, and then we'll now try and gather the thing together and so on. That is we'll be dreaming. We won't be able to do that. But this money is coming in, and it's coming into the economy, and it's impacting the economy. But the challenge, what the authorities will do is that whatever will be a disincentive in making this money not to come, we should try and begin to work at them and try to remove them so that people are encouraged to bring in money into this country. I mean, if, for instance, we have to wait and say, you can't bring your money except you bring it through Central Bank, I'll tell you the thing will disappear if you try.
So, thank you very much.
Yes, it will disappear.
Thank you very much, Dr. Boniface Chizea, for joining us on the morning show. Thank you very much indeed.